The rain was coming down in sheets that night, the kind that makes the city feel like it's trying to wash itself away. Arjun stood under the flickering neon sign of a closed pharmacy, soaked to the bone, clutching the last possession. He hadn't pawned his father's old wristwatch. The second hand ticked mercilessly, as if mocking him. 3 months ago, he had everything. A corner office on the 28th floor. A fiancée who looked at him like he'd hung the moon. A mother who still believed her son could do no wrong. Now, fired for a mistake that wasn't even his. Engagement called off with a single text. I can't do broke, Arjun. I'm sorry. And worst of all, his mother, the only person who still answered his calls, diagnosed with stage 4 cancer the same week the bank foreclosed on her tiny flat. He had hit rock bottom so hard the bottom cracked open and revealed an even deeper pit. Arjun slid down the wall until he sat on the wet pavement. The watch felt heavier than the world on his shoulders. He pressed it to his ear, half hoping to hear his father's voice again. There was only the cold, mechanical tick. A voice came from the darkness. You're going to catch your death out here, Beta. An old man stood a few feet away, holding a black umbrella that looked older than independence. His kirta was patched in a dozen places, but spotless. His eyes carried the kind of calm that only comes after surviving 1,000 storms. Arjun didn't have the energy to be polite. Leave me alone, uncle. The old man didn't move. I once sat exactly where you're sitting. Same road, same rain, same watch. He pointed at the wristwatch with a thin, weathered finger. Arjun looked up sharply. What did you say? The old man smiled faintly. May I? Against every instinct, Arjun handed over the watch. The stranger turned it over, tracing the engraving on the back with his thumb. To my son, time bends for those who don't break. Popatha old man's eyes softened. Your father gave you this the day he lost everything, didn't he? Arjun felt his throat close. How do you know that? Because I was there, the old man said quietly. I'm the one who bought his last crate of oranges when the bank took his shop. I'm the one who watched him stand in this same rain and decide not to jump off the bridge. Arjun stared. Speechless, the old man sat down beside him on. The wet ground umbrella tilted so both of them stayed dry. My name is Vikram, he said. But 40 years ago they called me the Orange King of Crawford Market. I had 12 trucks, 3 go-downs, and a temper that could scare the crows off Marine Drive. Then, one season, the prices crashed. I borrowed, I gambled on the next harvest. I lost everything. My wife left with our daughter. My partners vanished. Creditors camped outside my house like vultures. One night I stood on that bridge with a bottle of sleeping pills and a heart that had forgotten how to beat. He paused, letting the rain fill the silence. Then an old sweeper woman, someone who cleaned the market toilets for 30 rupees a day, walked past me. She looked at the bottle in my hand and said 5 words I still hear every single day. Arjun whispered. What did she say? Vikram turned the watch over again and read the engraving aloud. Time bends for those who don't break. He handed the watch back. She told me, Sir, your story isn't finished. The page is just wet right now. Wait till the ink dries. Then she took the bottle from my hand, threw the pills into the sea, and walked away. I never even learned her name. Arjun's tears mixed with the rain. I went home that night, Vikram continued, and I cried until there was nothing left. Then I did the only thing I could. I woke up at 3 a.m. and went back to the market. Not as the Orange King, just as a man with 2 hands and a borrowed cart. I sold whatever fruit I could buy on credit. 1 crate, then 2. I slept in the go-down. ate half-rotten bananas so I could sell the good ones. 10 years later, I owned the go-down. 20 years later, I owned half the market again. But I never forgot the night I almost quit. Arjun's voice cracked. How do you keep going when everything, literally everything, is gone? Vikram smiled, the lines around his eyes deepening like old rivers. Let me tell you the secret nobody wants to hear, because it's not pretty or comfortable. It's not a quote for Instagram. It's ugly, and it hurts, and it works every single time. He leaned closer. When everything goes wrong, you have exactly 2 choices. Decide the story ends here and it will. Decide the story is just beginning, its darkest, most powerful chapter. Most people choose door number 1 because it's easier. Quitting always feels like relief in the moment. But the truth is this: pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The night your father lost his shop, he came home and sat at the dining table for 6 hours without moving. Your mother and you were only 8, fell asleep waiting for him to speak. Finally, at dawn, he stood up, kissed you both on the forehead, and said, "Today we start again." That's the day he engraved this watch. He never got rich again, but he died proud, because he never gave up on the next day. Arjun clutched the watch to his chest. Vikram continued, voice steady as the rain. Let me tell you what happens when you refuse to break, even when the world uses all its strength to snap you in half. Phase 1. Total darkness. You will cry. You will scream into pillows. You will lose weight or gain it. Sleep will betray you. Old friends will ghost you. Some nights you'll Google painless ways and hate yourself for it. This phase is not weakness, it's the price of admission. Let it come. Don't numb it with alcohol or fake positivity. Feel every knife. Phase 2. The tiny defiant act. One morning, in the middle of the darkness, you will do one small thing that says, "I'm still here." Maybe it's brushing your teeth. Maybe it's making your bed. Maybe it's sending one job application when 300 have been rejected. That tiny act is the first brick in the new foundation. Nobody claps, nobody sees, but the universe notices. Phase 3. Momentum of the broken. Broken people move differently. They have nothing left to lose, so they risk everything. They take the job no one wants. They start the business everyone laughs at. They say the truth everyone's afraid to say. They work while others sleep because nightmares keep them awake anyway. Phase 4. The return. Not to who you were, that person is dead, but to someone stronger, quieter, kinder, and absolutely unstoppable. The scars become armor. The failures become wisdom. The nights you survived become the reason others survive. I've seen it 1,000 times. The bankrupt man who becomes a billionaire. The rejected artist whose paintings hang in the Louvre. The widow who starts a school that educates 1 million girls. The cancer patient who runs marathons. Every single one of them has the same story. There was a night they almost quit, and they didn't. The rain began to ease. Vikram stood up slowly, joints creaking. Your mother is waiting for you to become the man she always knew you could be. Not the rich one, not the successful one, the unbroken one. Arjun looked up. I don't know how to start. Vikram pointed down the empty street. See that tea stall? It opens in an hour. The owner is my friend. He needs someone to help with deliveries before dawn. No resume, no questions. 10,000 rupees a month. You start tomorrow. Arjun laughed a raw, broken sound that somehow felt like the first real breath he'd taken in months. One more thing, Vikram said, pulling out a small cloth pouch from his pocket. He placed it in Arjun's hand. Inside was a single orange, perfect and bright. Eat this when you feel like quitting again. Taste how something can be crushed 1,000 times and still come out sweet. Then the old man walked away, umbrella folded now, letting the last drops fall on his shoulders like blessings. Arjun sat there until the sky turned the color of hope. 6 years later, a young woman stood outside a gleaming office building in Bengaluru, clutching a rejection letter, tears streaming. She was about to throw it away when a man in a simple white shirt stepped out of a Tesla and called her name, Priya Wright. I saw your application. Most people would have given up after 400 rejections. Come upstairs. Let's talk. She looked up, confused. How did you? The man smiled and rolled up his sleeve, revealing an old wristwatch with a faded engraving. Because someone once saw me when I was invisible, he said. My name is Arjun, and this company has a policy. We only hire people who refuse to break. He handed her an orange. As she took it, she noticed the name on the building. Time Bends Technologies, founded by those who didn't. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of Mumbai, an old man with patched curtains closed his fruit stall for the day, looked up at the sky and whispered to the evening breeze. The ink dried, the page turned. The story goes on. Because when everything goes wrong, remember this: you are not failing, you are being forged. The fire feels like hell because it's turning carbon into diamond. The night feels endless because dawn is preparing the most beautiful sunrise of your life. And the watch on your wrist, whether it's made of gold or grief, keeps ticking for one reason only: to remind you that as long as you tea break, time will eventually, always, bend. Never give up. Not tonight. Not ever. The next chapter is waiting, and it's going to be magnificent.